From their first appearance in 1966 all the way to their return in 2017, I'm going to be telling you all about the journey of the Cybermen throughout Doctor Who. The 10th planet is the first time we see the Cybermen, and due to their success and creepiness from this episode, they would go on to be a big hit and return many times throughout Doctor Who. This was the first Doctor's last episode before he regenerated, and the Cybermen's motives behind this were to drain the Earth of its energies and pass it on to their home planet, which was Mondas. The following year, the Cybermen would make their return to the screen with The Moon Base, which aired in 1967, and the second Doctor went up against them many times throughout his time as the Doctor. We also learned that the Cybermen are stealing humans on the moon and turning them into Cybermen. That very same year, we would meet the Cybermen once again in Tomb of the Cybermen, and this is a fan favourite classic Doctor Who episode with the Cybermen. This introduces the Cyber Controller for a very first time, and he would go on to be seen throughout Doctor Who many times and even meet David Tennant's Doctor. The third time the Doctor met the Cybermen in Wheel in Space, this is unfortunately lost, only the audio remains, but hopefully they can make a remastered DVD and animate the visuals. But that very same year, towards the end of the year, we got The Invasion. This was 8 parts long and did take a while to get going. This picture here may be very reminiscent from Peter Capaldi's 8th series finale. It was a very good episode once the Cybermen got going and climbed out of the sewers and there was fighting on the streets. It was very entertaining towards the end of the story, but took a while to get going. A Cyberman also made a brief cameo in the second Doctor's last episode for a few seconds. The third Doctor, however, never got to meet the Cybermen. 6 years later, the Cybermen would return in 1975 in Revenge of the Cybermen. This was the first and only time we would see the 4th Doctor go up against the Cybermen on TV, although there are a few CD audio adventures with the 4th Doctor going up against them, but apart from that, in this episode we learned that gold is a Cyberman's weakness. 7 years later, the Cybermen would return once again to face off the Doctor in Earthshock, and this featured the death of a very important character in this 4-part episode. It's a very easy to understand episode to get behind and a good starting on point for Cybermen if you just want a nice, enjoyable Cyberman episode. This also featured the Cyber Leader. In 1985, the 6th Doctor would then take his turn to face off against the Cybermen. This was also the next return for the Cyber Controller, as you can see on screen. Returning to this picture, in the background there was a black Cyberman, and this is a stealth Cyberman, and this was used to hide in the shadows and capture people and upgrade them, which should definitely return. Silver Nemesis would be the next story for the Cybermen in 1988, and this would be the last time we would see them in classic Doctor Who for almost 20 years, when they would return in modern Doctor Who in Rise of the Cybermen, which was in 2006. The 10th Doctor was the first Doctor to come up against the Cybermen in modern Doctor Who. The Cybermen never met the 8th or 9th Doctor on screen, but they did in audios. The Cybermen's motives here were to upgrade humans into Cybermen, as they believed humans were inferior and Cybermen could heal all illnesses. This also returned the Cyber Controller for the 3rd time in Doctor Who, but obviously the Doctor stopped them on this parallel universe, but they weren't far behind. Returning that same year, towards the end of the year, the Cybermen make their way back but onto our Earth, facing off against the Daleks as well as the Doctor. This was also the death of Rose Tyler in Doctor Who, although it wasn't an official death. It's complicated, but it was a big episode in Doctor Who's tenure, and especially for the Cybermen and what followed afterwards. The Cybermen would return just in time for Christmas with the next Doctor, with the Cyber Leader taking on the look of a Cyber Controller. This wasn't confirmed if he was a controller or just a leader. This would also introduce the Cyber Shades and Cyber King, which were added to the army of the Cybermen, but only were featured in this Christmas episode. The Cybermen would make a brief appearance in Series 5 as it was revealed that they were part of the Alliance. They would also make a brief appearance in Series 6 first half when Rory and the Doctor were looking for Amy as they went asking them for questions. They would then return at the end of Series 6 for a solo episode with just a few Cybermen, and they were trying to power their ship with London's power, which would then be able to upgrade humans into Cybermen. I really loved the design of them in this episode, all battered. Nightmare in Silver would see the Cybermen return once again, but with a new revamped look, which I personally am a fan of. I know it gets a lot of hate, but it was almost 10 years, so it was time for a change for the Cybermen. This was definitely a good story, and it's always going to be one of my favourites, especially Matt Smith's acting as the 11th Doctor in this episode when he's the Cyber Planner. That very same year, the 11th Doctor would regenerate, but we got a few appearances in the episode from Cybermen, featuring a wooden one which was trying not to be detected on the planet, and a companion called Handles. This wasn't a Cyberman episode, but they were featured quite a bit in the episode. In the summer of 2014, we had the Cybermen return again in Darkwater and Death in Heaven when they teamed up with the Master, or Missy as you can call her now, and this was that if you died, you came back as a Cyberman pretty much, and it was very reminiscent of the invasion with the second Doctor. Very entertaining, and it was a good first Series 8 finale, and for the 12th Doctor's first finale, it was definitely a challenge for him. In 2015, we would then see just one Cyberman sat on the floor in the corner, a little cameo Easter egg for you to spot in Face the Raven. So that's it, you're all up to date and you're now ready for the Cybermen to attack at the end of June and the start of July for the Series 10 finale. If you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something new, then please hit that subscribe button. Next one is Daleks, and leave in the comments below what your favourite Cyberman moment has been. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.